Portfolio management at Lumen Plus was fairly mature as the mix of projects was only released after a break-even, return on investment, net present value, benefit to cost, and internal rate of return analysis was performed. It did, however, struggle with its project execution, which is where Techtegration comes in. In order to help Lumen Plus with its future machine acquisitions, Techtegration has used its knowledge of the principles of project management in order to help Lumen Plus by equipping it with all the tools and techniques that it requires to meet its project requirements by finding its most optimized matrix of performance, cost, and time. We started by suggesting that Lumen Plus should rethink its organizational structure. Its current functional structure boasts a high degree of specialization but fails to react fast enough to the market. We suggest that the company introduce project management support by means of a matrix organization in order to better perform on its project delivery. Our interview with our client better helped understand its needs, which we later converted into requirements. We also determined what the acceptance criteria for Techtegration was, which was to develop a new machinery acquisition and integration project plan for Lumen Plus. We then proceeded to identify all stakeholders, both internal and external to the project. We analyzed their influence or level of involvement in the project and their impact, that is, their ability to affect change. We then spoke to each one of these individuals to understand their needs and their roles and responsibilities within the project. We then moved forward with another interview with our project lead Julien in order to map the current and desired mode of participation of each one of these stakeholders, some of which are displayed here. Following interviews with key members of the Lumen Plus team, we were able to develop a high-level project plan. This plan outlines the project phases, the high-level WBS outcome, and several project milestones. With the requirements, acceptance criteria, a rough budget, and the high-level plan in place, we were then able to construct a solid statement of work. Once that was done, we proceeded to outline the project charter, which focused on project goals, the business case, the scope, and even elements not in the scope. This project charter also included the high-level deliverables, the approach, the assumptions, the constraints, and the performance measure.
Now, let's talk about scope management. On this picture, you can see every element added from the beginning till the end, but it would have been preferable for the project team to draw up a detailed list of the machine's features and options detailed here, as well as the equipment to be purchased for the workers. Concerning the project scope, we can advise Lumen Plus for future projects to establish a work breakdown structure like the one shown here, with an associated WBS dictionary in order to break down the tasks and to associate to each task the relevant stakeholders using the organization of the company that we will see later in the video.
Since the laser project didn't feature a schedule, we mapped all the laser activities by harvesting email data. We also collected the start and end dates from which we determined the completion time of each of the activities. In total, we recorded 87 different project tasks. We then proceeded to map all the activities in order to observe how the project was executed. The one thing that stood out to us immediately is that the project followed a fairly linear trajectory with very few activities done in parallel. We immediately proceeded to analyze the precedence and interdependence of these activities in order to understand task dependencies. We then mapped a network diagram in order to find a critical path for this project. With the help of the precedence diagram, we then came up with a far more compact and much more well-equipped project plan that included all the requirements that were necessitated from us by the client. Although we couldn't develop an exact schedule for the company, as the schedule will vary for each and every different machine purchase, we provided a brief time frame which can facilitate an ease of scheduling in the future. These time frames will also help the company with future schedule compression plans.
With regard to cost management, not all the cost lifecycle were assessed upstream. Many costs have not been taken into account, especially hidden ones like personnel costs, but also the future cost of repairing the machine, change of part, etc. As much cost that this project will generate for the company. We have also assisted Lumen Plus in the elaboration of a forecast cash flow that is more in line with the reality of the project and allocates them over time through a cost budget. Thanks to this analysis, Lumen Plus will be able to make an analogous estimate in case of a future acquisition of another similar machine, which will be very inexpensive method. This cost outline will help us to plan our procurement.
Regarding quality management, Lumen Plus needed a quality plan approved by all internal stakeholders that included what material to cut, what are cut tolerances, what finish, what will be the visual checks, what other kind of testing was needed like optical, hardness, pressure, etc. Moreover, they can set up a quality assurance based on the activities that the quality team will have to do on a day-to-day basis to ensure our metrics are met on every piece. For cost of quality, Lumen Plus can do a scrap rate analysis and customer after-sale analysis. All these features could be found in a quality management plan.
The only human resources aspect taken into account by Lumen Plus was the operator for the laser, and we noticed that the majority of the company's components were involved in the project, which led to some disorganization. To carry out the project, the company should have a defined project team with a project manager who will cost them $30 per hour, 5 engineers for $35 per hour, and finally an operator for $21 per hour.
The communication of a project is often forgotten, but it is an essential key to properly conclude it. First of all, it is important to define a precise hierarchy between the different actors. It will allow each person to exactly know what their role is. The leader also needs to clearly explain the purpose of the machine and to whom the machine belongs. In this way, we can avoid the misunderstanding about the scope of the project. Not having a proper communication can lead to confusion and conflicts, which can jeopardize the project. Now let's talk about risk management. To emphasize the possible risk of the project, we created a matrix which defined for each deliverable the kind of risk, its probability, the severity if it happens, and what it would impact between time, cost, and quality. We also try to find which action could allow us to avoid the risk, and if it happens anyway, what we could do to limit the consequences. For example, take the deliverable test results of sample. As you can see here, the risk is to get low quality sample. The category of risk is medium, and the consequences are medium too. If this happens, it would impact the cost and the time. And if we want to avoid this, we could ask samples from different suppliers at the same time, for example, but it would increase the cost. If it is already too late, we would have to ask for new adjusted samples or contact other suppliers.
After presenting, analyzing the Lumen Plus project and proposing solutions to the company for its future plans, we are now done with the laser machine. If you haven't watched all the videos related to the Lumen Plus project, check out our YouTube channel, Techtegration.
Thanks for watching, guys! You can hit the like button if you appreciated this video, and also don't forget to subscribe and activate the bell to get notifications.